It's going live now.
Okay.
And so you can hit refresh on your page and you should be able to get your live video so that you can view.
It's okay. I'll get it. Hold on. Okay. I see something. It does say live.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. And then we're going to go ahead and get started here in just a minute. Want to give people a little bit of time to log in. Hope that the cat doesn't knock everything over. I can't actually see. I mean, I can see
that one that says live.
Just click on it.
Yeah, it's that video.
Okay. All right, very good. It was a little bit crooked, like maybe should move over here. Okay, I think that's a little bit more centered. How's everybody doing? Hope everyone's well.
Some smiles, thumbs ups. Hello from Nicole Pizzuto.
Great. I see Terry, Jennifer, Nicole, Caitlin, unless this is from last week. No?
No, this is
That's
not.
Recent? Okay. Thankfully, Paul's here, so I have some clue what's going on. Paul will be taking your questions, so feel free to start posting them now. Should I go ahead and get started?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Welcome, everybody. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a Taino Airwalk and a psychic medium. This show is called Ask Ivy. This is an opportunity for us to sit and talk about those deeper questions that go on throughout life in regards to healing, suffering, the way the universe works, how to manifest, law of attraction, paranormal questions, spiritual questions, your own self-development. Really, any question goes. There are so many things that slip in between the cracks when I'm working with my clients because there's just not enough time to get to them during a reading, or when I'm working with my students. There's so much curriculum all the time, and so much of it doesn't fit into any specific category that I have classes for. So I created Ask Ivy to talk about these different things. Now, I do have another show called Ask a Medium, where I take your personal questions and I give psychic mediumship answers to those questions. And let's see, the next Ask a Medium show is Wednesday, March 4th. The next Ask Ivy show is going to be Wednesday, March 11th. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with these. I can turn this off. I do want to say, I want to give a thank you to University of Buffalo. UB hosted my empathic awareness training. Was that yesterday?
Yes.
I think it was yesterday, and it was a huge success. We had about 40 people there, and I want to say that it was very eye-opening for administration, for the students, and it was a great opportunity to expand upon mindfulness training. So kudos to UB. We will be at Niagara University coming up here in about a month, and we have another empathic awareness training coming up through the Ivy League Psychic Academy, and then I will be doing the teacher credit trainings, which are available online. So I do encourage you guys to check that out. Now, part of the reason I'm bringing this up is because there were some really, really good questions there, and I'm not going to have time to get to all of them, but one that I wanted to share with you guys was a question about understanding when you have leveled up, when you've moved up with your intuitive abilities, when you went from maybe being a level 1 and 2 empath to a levels 3 and 4 empath. There are 4 different levels within the empathic system that we know of scientifically so far. So I thought that was a great question. How do you know when you just shifted and have increased your abilities significantly? And part of the reason that's such a good question is because it also applies to other areas of your life, psychic, mediumistic, and probably in general, a lot of major changes just on a regular, everyday, personal level. So some of the things that can go on are physical changes. One of the things you might notice if you moved up a level is the ringing in the ears, a feeling of pressure in the ears, spontaneously, out of nowhere, or almost like a seashell is up to your ear. Numbness in the mouth, the lips, the tongue, the lower part of the face, tingling in the hands and the feet. Random feelings of being dizzy. You might start to feel like maybe you have a blood sugar issue, or like it's blood pressure. And I'm not saying don't get it checked, but it's often because you just moved up a level with your intuitive abilities. Okay, feeling what other people feel without them telling you. Being more sensitive to the energies around you, so that an atmosphere or an object might cause you to feel different in some way, either anxious, tired, maybe upset stomach. So some of the things you're going to want to watch for, okay, are significant changes in your physical body. Now, emotionally, mentally, you might also notice things like random bouts of depression or anxiety attacks that come out of nowhere. Ta-da, join the club. Okay, you have developed a new level of intuitive abilities and intelligence. Okay, so do we want to go ahead and get started, Paul, with whatever's coming in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, excuse me. Jennifer asks, I feel often like my world is spiraling around me. How can I regain control and get on the right path?
Okay. So Jennifer feels like her world is spiraling around her. How can I regain control? Well, I think that what's important to remember in a time like that is that you're going through significant change. And the way we gain control is to start to analyze what those changes are all about. And it's not enough to really look at your life and say, I have change over here, and, so that makes me feel this way, and I have change in this relationship, and that makes me feel, like this, or this change is causing me to feel insecure. We want to go deeper than that. We want to identify those things, but then we want to say, what is the lesson here? Why do you think maybe these changes are happening? Don't become obsessed with finding the answer right now, but be open to the answer being revealed to you. More importantly, what are the lessons I'm supposed to be learning right now? I find that people who are going through a significant amount of change, or who go through a period of hardship in their life, including illnesses, they really overlook what the other lessons are in it. They keep their eye on the prize. They have tunnel vision. They believe that the ultimate goal is to get through this and to survive it. That if they can remove this level of discomfort from their life, that they will be happy. And that's not how it works. So you're supposed to get comfortable in your discomfort and figure out why. What are the deeper messages and meanings to everything that's going on with you? Now, an easy way to do this is to call in your guides. So I would highly recommend that if you're feeling very, very confused, you sit for about 10 minutes, maybe up to 15 minutes every day. Do it with your morning coffee or your tea, with your guides. Ask them to come in. If you don't know your guides, I have a class up on the website. It's downloadable, called Meet Your Guides. Okay, everyone is appointed for. So you sit with them for 10 minutes and you ask them to show you what it is that you need to know for that day. What it is that you need to take responsibility for that day. If there are any pitfalls that they can warn you about that you could watch out for. And you might want to get very specific, Jennifer, you might want to say to your guides, can you show me what is happening with all this change in my life, or what I'm supposed to take out of it today? And I would do this for maybe 2 weeks. Watch and see how much more rooted and grounded you're going to feel. We have to find purpose to things. That's the issue, is that we just feel like we're spiraling out of control. Okay, what's the next question?
This one was related to from your Q&A
Okay.
the other day about energy, and I think would link in with your empathic awareness from earlier.
Okay.
Is how do you determine those that are strictly feeding off of you versus those you are naturally drawn to attempt to heal them? And then he states, white knight trying to help those that may take advantage of you.
Ah. Okay. So that's a great question. Who asked this?
That is Daniel Christian.
Dan. Okay. Great question. So how do we know the difference between someone who is trying to feed or vampire off of our positive energy to heal themselves versus someone who really requires the healing and you're tempted to give it, okay, as a healer? Well, here's the thing. Anything that is dysfunctional in the universe, anything that's functioning from a lower level energy is going to read to you as a healer as needing to be fixed, as wanting to be fixed. And it makes you susceptible anytime you're near it, even if you're not near it, but you're energetically connected with this person in some capacity. It's going to be a constant burden and a drain. So you want to have proper boundaries set. We did talk about this at Empathic, because empathic people have a lot of issues with setting boundaries with others. We often feel confused and over responsible to fix people, to help people. Here's a good way to know the difference. Every time you approach someone and there is healing needed, call in your joy guide and or your protector guide and tap into your higher mind and ask, is this my responsibility to heal this person, or should I hold back? It will be very obvious what the answer is. Now, if you're told to hold back, but you choose to just overlook that because it's very, very tempting to do so, or you want to make excuses for them, you have to understand two separate things here. First of all, you're enabling. They are supposed to go through that process and figure out a way to self-heal, and you're robbing them of that. The second thing is there's going to be karmic kickback on you. So another way to know you're healing people, and you shouldn't be, is that your prosperity is in the ghetto. You feel heavy and drained, depressed, or anxious. You feel like the universe is beating you up. Why me? Can I never get a break? Maybe you're an enabler. There was a great post I saw recently about how sometimes you're not supposed to help someone because you are interfering with their karma. I think that's a pretty good way to say it. But the only way to know is to ask. So we have to think with our guides more often that this is a dialogue, a conversation. And if you are having trouble tapping in with your guides, you're still in the process of learning that, just do this. Look at the person, whether they're in front of you or you're just energetically pulling them in front of your mind's eye. Look at them and ask their energy. Ask their higher mind. Am I supposed to help you, or am I supposed to leave you to it? Okay? Their energy will tell you what you're supposed to do, and do not cross that line. Okay?
Very good. This is Alex Rendy.
Okay.
Will all this hard work and effort in relation to building my skills as a craftsperson pay off? Will this lead to a solid career? Am I missing anything?
Okay. Well, that sounds a bit more like a psychic question for the other show, but and we're not doing psychic readings on this show. That's for the Ask a Medium on March 4th. But feel free to book a reading at any time. I'm sure Paul put the link above. However, in regards to working hard at something and seeing whether or not it would pay off, I do believe that was in my daily message today. I think that when we understand this one difference, it can change everything in your life in regards to where you put your effort. And that difference is knowing when you are supposed to persevere and put effort into something, even when the universe is allowing obstacles, or you're being tested, or negative energies are coming in and blocking and preventing you, which is always a sign that you're going in the right direction, versus you're actually being shut and a thing not being for you at all, and you're just beating your head up against a wall. There is a huge difference between persevering and beating your head up against a wall, dragging a dead horse, okay? We have to stop and ask every step, every major step along the way. Am I going in the right direction? Now, if you hear yes, just keep going. You know, you're going to have ebbs and flows to it, peaks and valleys. But if you're still going in the right direction, you haven't been told to stop, you know this intuitively, don't overanalyze it. So much of the work that we have to put in to get just a little bit of success, it could take years of doing the same thing over and over and over again, or twists and turns. And we have to be willing to adjust to the development of this thing, willing to step out in blind faith for it. But along that path often is character development. You're often growing and learning a lot. Okay, was it like Jesus was like 12 years old, wasn't he? The story in the Bible about how he went out to go start preaching and his parents were like, you're going home. And he stayed home until he was like 30 years old. You know, you don't just pop out of the box this way. So there's a long period of nose to the grind when you're developing yourself. That's all they said about him. He grew during that time. So again, there's more to it than meets the eye. It isn't, I did this work and this advertising and I put in this effort and now I should have this result. Nope, there's all kinds of stuff in between. It has to do with your soul, your spirit, your life contract, lessons. So we'll see whether or not that's being accomplished. And often that's the holdup. Okay, next question.
Okay. Nicole Pizzuto.
Okay.
Wondering what happened to my friend when they passed recently and if anyone helped her cross.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry for your loss. When we cross, we have two different options. We either get to stay earthbound, which is not a natural position for a human being. Humans were not designed to stay heavy and low, earthbound, or in the company of negative energies in the universe. Humans were designed to channel from the light, and that's where we do best. So we have two options when we die. We can either stay earthbound, which puts us in jeopardy, puts us in danger. We would be carrying around a lot of baggage and negativity and making the choice to hold on to that. Or we have the option to let go of any kind of hatred, anger, fear, and be willing to grow and expand and evolve in love. So if we're willing to do that, if anybody is willing to do that and to leave behind that dark energy, they are welcome to move up. Now, that doesn't mean that they no longer have lessons. You're going to go into the light and you're going to grow and develop and learn things and evolve. It's another classroom in itself. But in the light, people get to eat. Okay, so humans are energy. All spirits are energy, and they all want to eat. And when you're in the light, you get fed. When you're earthbound, you don't. You're cut off from the light. Now, we all see humans walking around that are cut off from the light, for sure. And you can tell that they're starving. This is who we call vampires. They're draining those of us who are connected to the light for our energy. What I'm sensing with your friend is that she was more than happy to go forward. I don't feel like she carried any of this baggage, really. And I do feel that her death may have been sudden. Now, it is a myth that suicides, murders, quick passings, any passing that was especially difficult, that those people tend to get stuck. That is not true. I do not feel that was true in her case. And I think that, she's ready and willing to talk and communicate. It is also a myth that it takes between a year to a year and a half for spirit to be able to communicate. That is complete hogwash. So she's ready to go, and she is absolutely in the light. Thank you for that question. Okay.
Laura Hunt.
Uh-huh.
I've been trying to stay very positive this month, and I was wondering if there is anything else we should be trying. Thank you.
Okay, just in general? Well, that sounds like a psychic question to me, too. I wouldn't really know exactly.
It was in relation, I think, to trying possible conception.
Conception. Okay, well, in regards to people who are trying really hard to conceive, I'm going to say this. This is a question I get at least once a day from my clients, from new clients too. It is coming from everywhere. And I will say this, I spent the last maybe 4 to 5 years, maybe 6 at this point even, working with clients who were struggling with fertility. We have a couple key things going on here. First of all, children are not as willing to come to Earth as they used to be. This place is not hospitable. It has become insanely toxic, and it takes a very particular kind of soul to be willing to come here. So life contracts are getting tougher and tougher. I find that there are only a couple key, whether it be races or I see the homosexual community, their children being more willing to come through with them. And sometimes I'm seeing it with certain racial groups. That has to do with the awakening. Okay, so due to the awakening, there are certain couples, we could say, or certain parents that are more enticing because it's for the greater good that these children are willing to come through with them. Okay, so we're going to see more and more like homosexual adoptions and things like this as we go forward. But the average everyday couple it's getting harder. And I think what's important for you to do, for everybody to do who's struggling with this, is to ask yourself, am I prepared to bring a child into this world under these conditions and raise them up in the light to be a warrior for the light? Or am I going to give them the tools to expand good, positive energy? Is that where my focus is? Or is this more about a dream that I've had personally or something that I've wanted to fulfill on my own accord? It's not as easy as it used to be. Okay, so children coming through for the sake of having children is tight. And I think that when we see them signing on to parents these days, we also see a lot of struggle in the stress level. So the other thing I would say is this, that and I've gotten most of this information from practicing Reiki on women who were having infertility issues or fertility treatments and things like this. I would often go around her and through to the husband or the partner. So one of the things that's going on is that the female is ready, but the male is so stressed from the whole circumstance, he doesn't consider himself to be part of this. And he is. Not because physically he is, but because based on life contracts and the child he is. So the child is looking at signing on to 2 people, probably. And if he is stressed or he is not ready or he has not done what he needs to do, it could be complicated in getting them to come through. So, it's usually the women that ask, but it's very often the men that have work that they need to get done. Kids are very, very picky. They're getting pickier every year. And they take those contracts very seriously. They want to make sure that if they, come to Earth, they're going to be able to follow through with it, that their needs are going to be met, and that this contract, can be fulfilled. So I would have a talk with your child about being very focused on what they came to Earth to do and helping them to achieve that, and take a good look at your partner and make sure that they're doing the growing that they need to do. Okay?
Cool. This one is from Colleen Rogers Ray.
Okay.
Said, I just lost my 34-year-old daughter 1 week ago. Is it too soon to ask for a message?
I am so sorry for your loss. No, it is not too soon to ask for a message. It is a complete and total myth that it takes between a year to a year and a half to communicate with the deceased. It's something that old school mediums came up with to, I believe, to cover up the fact that they couldn't connect very well to a lot of spirits. And the reality of the situation is that you're able to communicate with people telepathically, okay, and spiritually, right, through our higher minds. My higher minds can communicate with your higher mind. We're able to do that while we're alive. We're able to do that at night. We're able to do that during the death process and immediately after. It actually gets a lot easier during the death process and immediately after. It's very, very loud during that time. So it should be fairly simple to communicate with her. Absolutely, this is doable. I've done it a million times. I've seen it a million times. I do something called death coaching. You might want to check it out also on my website. Paul, if you could put the website in there or make sure the link is above. Death coaching is something that I train my students in doing, and it's something that I do in my readings, but it helps you to build the language with the person who's passing away or the recently deceased. Even if someone died a while ago, it can be done, where we start building up that language right away, immediately, so that there are no gaps in communication. So it's something worth looking into. Absolutely, you can. Okay.
Caitlin Newell says, I will be attending a mediumship course coming up in March. I was wondering, how can I discern my own thoughts and imagination and information and messages from spirit? That's a lot of words. Also, any tips on how I can prepare for my class in my spare time?
Okay. Well, Caitlin, welcome. What I would recommend is that you're taking pathway number 2. Okay, so with pathway number 1 in the psychic mediumship curriculum, you're not going to be doing all the same exercises and getting the practice like you would with pathway 2, which certifies you. So make sure you're signed up on the right pathway. Your question is the entire curriculum. So, I mean, pretty much. So her question is, how can I tell the difference between my imagination versus psychic versus this versus that? Well, that's the curriculum, because people come and it's all jumbled together. It's very confusing. It's overwhelming. You might notice that you're definitely getting stuff, but you don't know what the heck it is or where to put it or how accurate it is, where it's coming from especially, and that affects accuracy. Okay, so you will be trained in all of that. In the meantime, while you're waiting to get started, I'm assuming you're starting with the March 24th class, okay? We do have a Q&A coming up on YouTube here and Instagram. What is it, March 1st?
It is.
Okay, it's called, Am I a Psychic, an Empath, or a Medium? So you might want to attend that and post your questions there. We'll be taking everyone's questions. In the meantime, what I would recommend is that you pay attention. I would keep a little journal for yourself and start paying attention to any intuitive information you get, whether it be through dreams, random insights while you're driving, ears ringing and then a message goes in your head, messages you feel are coming from the deceased that you're compelled to tell somebody else, psychic predictions, prophecy, whatever it is, okay? I want you to pay attention to your intuitive intelligence in whatever form it comes. And I want you to start jotting it down in a journal and ask yourself, where did this come from? Did it come from me or did it come from somewhere else? Okay, that's a great place to start. And hopefully by the 6th or 7th week, we've got that all figured out and we've moved on to bigger things. Okay, great. Looking forward to having you.
Yes. Excellent. Heather P. says, I have been seeing shadow people. Why are they trying to communicate with me? And how do I safely explore this?
They're probably not. They really don't. So, it's just kind of something to ignore. I have a class called Hauntings, Clearings, and Detachments. It's downloadable. And we just had it like 2 weeks ago, right? So you just missed it. But hauntings class breaks down the different kinds of spirits that there are, and shadow people are one of the categories that we talk about. It's pretty common to see with shadow people that they're not very interested in communication, that they're fairly benign. They really don't try to disrupt your life. You will notice them, and it's not that they're not noticing you, but it isn't like the deceased that have come around to deliver a message or anything like that. Typically, shadow people are considered to be problematic or dark, bad, because they're black. And that's not, I have not found ever that that's authentically the case. However, there is a huge difference between something darker and heavier or demonic versus a shadow person. So I would highly suggest you just mind your own business. And since they're probably planning to do their own thing and they're not that interested in you, that's a good way to keep some separate space there. But in the event that you find these things are disrupting your sleep, scratching, tugging at the hair, if you have increased nightmares, you don't have a shadow person, you have a bigger problem, and you're going to need to look at a cleansing. Book me for a paranormal consultation. Okay?
Cool. Marlene Arenas.
Okay.
I would like to know how to bring more positive energy in my house because someone in the house always brings negative energy. What can I do to change it?
Get rid of the person who's super negative. It's like taking a shower in the toilet on a train. I mean, there's no way to, it's like trying to get clean while you stand in a cesspool. If you have negative people living in your space, it becomes pretty exhausting to consistently cleanse. However, you can use a couple extra tricks. Now, again, that hauntings, clearings, and detachments class trains you in things like gridding. Okay, so you could take it a step further. What you could do is to set the intention and manifest that person clean up their energy, that they become mindful of it, and that they recognize that the universe is giving them tools, and that they accept those tools, and they start doing the work they need to do. But in addition, cleanse yourself, that person, if you can. Sometimes if they're sleeping, you can like spray, or get the, waft the smoke around them. But in the event that you've only got your space to work with, cleanse you, your vehicle, your house, and take whatever rooms you typically stay in, and I would grid them, the four corners, okay? And what that can do is stave off negative energy for longer periods of time. But really what we want to do with someone who's that negative is we want to, it's sort of like, praying over them. You're manifesting for them that they start to see the light and make the changes that they need to, because otherwise, again, people who aren't in ownership of their energy, I talk about it all the time. They're not only infecting themselves, they're infesting the house and everyone else around them. And it's super toxic, and you just can't, eventually you do run the risk of getting sick and things like this, mentally, emotionally, but physically. So it's really a dangerous situation, create as much space as you can. But we have to be realistic. Plenty of us live in cities where we're elbow to elbow with others. We live in apartment complexes. These problems are rampant. And if you're diligent enough and your mind is the strongest tool that you're using because you are setting your intention and you are keeping it clean, you can have success there. It's just temporary. Yes.
Cool.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Sorry about that. Featherly Kafira.
Okay.
What lesson was this vertigo experience meant to teach me? I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Okay, that again sounds like a psychic mediumship show question. So, Featherly. So Featherly had a vertigo experience. She's trying to figure out what this thing was supposed to teach. I want to talk a little bit more with you guys about finding the lessons in things and paying attention to the way that the universe shows you what the lessons are. Some things take time. Some lessons you learn over the course of your entire life. They don't stop. It's one chapter after another after another. Other lessons are, coming in rather quick. But I do think that what should be happening around you and what I feel happening around you is that the universe is showing you things through people's mouths. Remember, humans are the mouthpiece for God. So if there's something that needs to get to you, it's going to come from other people. It could be coming from social media, advertisements, things that are crossing your path on YouTube that normally don't. The answers are there. I think it's time to sit back and be a little more open and mindful. I also think it's important that whenever we're looking for what is the bigger lesson, what does this mean, what's happening with this, we pay attention to timing. You're often not shown what exactly it means until it's the exact right moment. So I want to say wait on it. Okay. I do find, though, that a lot of people dealing with the vertigo issue are dealing with some kind of a kundalini or an awakening, an enlightenment. And it's really connected to a lot of the things that I talk about, especially with empathic ability, moving from the second to the third or the third to the fourth level. So it's very possible that you're feeling too much. Just too much in general. And it's a key opportunity for you to start maintaining that energy better. Okay.
Alicia M.
Okay.
My brother passed in 2007 and my mom passed in 2019. I can feel my mom's presence through signs, smells, dreams, etc. But I have a hard time identifying my brother's presence. How can I make sure that he's okay?
Okay. I'm so sorry for your losses. This is a lot. What we have to understand about spirit communication is that it's all different. So what I would recommend for you is the psychic mediumship training course. So through the method that I train you in, and I am the only one teaching it internationally, it's called the PSC method. It's the psychology of spirit communication method. So it's based on the way that angels communicate versus guides versus humans versus animals versus, God. It's all different. And within every language that they speak, every category speaks a different language. It breaks down into other categories. So without you knowing the general basic language, it's going to be hard for you to hear a lot of the spirits out there clearly and concisely and really fully understanding in an efficient way, who it is and what they said and what they meant by it, what you're supposed to do with it. So I think that your mother is probably just, I don't even want to say a better communicator, but more than likely what happens is that you have certain communication skills and your mother has certain communication skills. And when we have a pairing of that particular language, it's easy to hear certain people. So it's no different than, when I met Paul, I felt like I had known him for a million years and we just understand each other. But when he opens his mouth, he has this funny Boston accent and I can't honestly understand half of what he says. So it's kind of like, it's funny. Energetically, I understand him, but literally, I don't understand him. So it's this type of a kind of confusing language. And we've been trained in society to ignore it, okay, that it's not real, that none of this exists. So it's a lost language. You're going to need to learn it. But I would suspect that once you pick up on a couple key things that your brother does, that you'll learn how to feed those things. We want to work with what he already does good. I had somebody message me the other day and say, I want you to tell me the secret passwords that my mother agreed to give me from, the grave once she passed. And this woman comes through and she's not good at any of that kind of communication. She thought she would be when she was on Earth, but she's not now. She has to relearn it. And he's very demanding and only wants to hear that one particular thing. Well, guess what? Good luck on getting them to talk. So What you want to do is accept whatever he has to say. So if he's giving you little things or moving things, messing with your technology, leaving you like pennies from heaven, little symbols and gifts, you want to say, oh my gosh, I know that was you. Leave me more. Leave me more. Show me what else you're going to leave me. Okay? And come in for the class. We would love to have you. Okay? Okay?
Mandy G, super fan. Are we able to manifest or set intentions for others?
Okay. Mandy G, super fan. Thank you so much. Are we able to manifest for others? Well, we are, but a lot of people are confused about what that means. A lot of people think that they're able to actually manipulate others, and they're not. So often what happens is that they have thought, and wherever our thoughts go, energy goes. Wherever energy goes, there's the possibility for some type of manipulation there. So a lot of people are thinking so much about somebody or what they want somebody to do, what they want somebody to see, or how they want them to change, that eventually it starts to enter the mind of that person. And it's sort of like telepathy. Okay, it's sort of like if you wanted your ex-boyfriend to call you, you would think on him and you would think, call me, text me, and all of a sudden he's like compelled to do it. The thing is, he still has free will in all of that. So everybody has free will to ultimately make the decision as to whether or not they're going to change. I would recommend that if you're trying to manifest something for somebody else, that what you're asking is what is ultimately for their highest and best good. And then you visualize that thing, you feel that thing, you hold it for 30 seconds or more. You do it multiple times throughout the day, and you do it for several weeks. And it's really probably going to be best if you focus on things like helping them to be aware, helping them to be aware of themselves, things that need to be corrected, and what the right decision would be. That makes manifestation a whole lot easier because humans naturally are going to be drawn to the food, and the food is the light, and light choices are part of that system. So as long as we're steering it there, yeah, that's your highest likelihood. Okay.
Terry Quick is asking, do crystal elixir water bottles really work? I've been thinking of buying one, but I'm not sure what the benefits are. I have depression and anxiety, and I'm wondering if it would help.
Well, from what I understand, there could be a lot of toxic chemicals in there, so I think you should be careful. And I know that a lot of crystals aren't authentically crystals anymore, so you're going to want to be careful there too. I personally don't feel that there is any real tool that you need outside of your own intention and self-control with anything, from saging and cleansing to using crystals for healing. There is an ability that's innate within all of us to control the energy, but it takes a lot of practice. What I would recommend for you is the empathic awareness training that gives you the actual tools to do this for real. Because what happens when your crystal water bottle gets ran over because it tipped off the top of your car? Or, we can't rely on these things. Do crystals work, in my opinion? Absolutely. But people are also misusing them. Things like amethyst can make you go absolutely bonkers and do exactly what you're trying to avoid here, can cause that to happen to you, especially if you have them in your bedroom at night or under your pillow. So a lot of people are misguided and are misguiding others on how to accurately use crystals and things like this. Ultimately, it needs to come from within you, and you're going to have to learn the real tools and skills to maintain your energy and stave these problems off. So again, the empathic awareness training, it's downloadable. It's up on the website now, or join us for one of the upcoming classes. Paul, however, does sell at the Ivy League Apothecary all kinds of crystals and stones and might have some insight into this. What's your opinion on this one?
I was feeling the exact same thing. I read that as empathic awareness. I felt that the crystals is they're on top of everything else. You know, you got to fix the base before you build on top, and I think that's the root issue. You know, it's like putting paint on a cracked wall. I would focus more on developing the tools before looking for something else on the outside.
Yeah, start from the roots, and then expand out to have extra help like that. But it's a good question. All right, are we wrapping up the show then? I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up for today. Thank you everybody for joining in. Now I hope to see you for the next Ask Ivy, Wednesday, March 11th, and the next Ask a Medium show, where I'm taking your questions and giving psychic mediumship answers. That's Ask a Medium is Wednesday, March 4th. Hope to see you guys for classes, Ivy League Psychic Academy, and to book a reading, Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com. Thank you, Paul. Thanks, everybody. Bye.